Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to take your source material, dig into it, and really pull out that core insight for you, give you the shortcut.
You get right to the heart of it.
Exactly. So today, you've given us a fascinating set of sources. They all seem to point to one single event, a pretty critical moment, it looks like, of geopolitical friction.
That's right. A moment that seems to have defined the limits, you could say, of two major empires back then.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Our mission here, it's not just the surface level stuff. We want to really grasp the weight of this collision. We're diving into the mid-8th century. The year 751 pops up right away. And the event, the Battle of Talas.
Precisely. And when you first glance at these sources, I mean, they're strikingly brief about the outcome.
Yeah, what do they say?
Basically, Arabs defeat Tang China, 751. Just like that.
Wow, okay. Short and sweet.
It is. That single statement, that's our foundation. But, you know, that brevity, it just begs the question, why? Why was this outcome so important? What was really going on there?
That's the real pivot point, isn't it? It feels like we're not just looking at some, I don't know, historical footnote. It feels more like a line drawn in the sand.
I think that's a good way to put it.
The sources, they focus so intensely on the defeat, specifically the defeat of Tang China. It makes you think it must signal something bigger, something changed fundamentally, maybe.
It suggests a shift in the world order of the time, absolutely. You've got these two enormous expanding systems, world systems, really, colliding head-on.
Okay, so let's flesh that out. Who exactly were these forces in 751? The sources name them. Arabs and Tang China.
Right. And it's fascinating when you think about who they represented then. On one side, you've got the burgeoning power of the Arab Caliphate, the Abbasids at this point.
Right. The Abbasids had just taken over from the Umayyads.
Exactly. And they were really pushing the boundaries deep into Central Asia. This is part of the Islamic Golden Age unfolding. Their power in that region was, well, immense and relatively new there.
And the other side, Tang China. I mean, arguably at the absolute peak of its power, its influence, right?
Oh, absolutely. The Tang Dynasty was just the dominant force culturally, militarily in East Asia. They were stretching their authority way out to the west, securing trade routes.
So yeah, these weren't just like minor kingdoms bumping into each other.
Not at all. This was, as you said, two massive objects on a collision course, like two world champions meeting in the final.
And the sources, they tell us flat out who won that final round, at least for Central Asia.
They do, the Arabs. The sources confirm the Tang forces were defeated. And you have to remember, the Tang military had been expanding for decades, projecting power, setting up protectorates, garrisons deep into modern Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan.
Which brings up the next obvious question the sources point to. Where did this happen? They named the place Talas.
Talas, that's the anchor point.
Yeah.
And if you place Talas on the map, connect it to the bigger picture.
It's deep in Central Asia, right on the edge of the Silk Road.
That geography tells you almost everything you need to know. It screams high stakes.
Okay, explain that. Why is the location so critical?
Well, this wasn't a fight over some small border town. This was about controlling, or at least influencing, probably the richest overland trade network in the entire world at that time.
The Silk Road.
The Tang were trying to secure key points along it, these sort of choke points. And the Arabs, they were extending their own realm precisely to command those same commercial lifelines.
So Talas, it's where their ambitions overlapped. It represents what? Commercial control, political dominance, military reach.
All of the above. The Chinese wanted secure access to Western goods. They wanted horses. They wanted taxes from the trade.
And the Caliphate.
Pretty much the same. Plus, the further expansion of their political reach, their religious influence eastward. The battle was fought exactly where these two massive spheres of influence finally touched.
Okay, so we've established the players, the place, the basic outcome. Arab victory in 751 at Talas. Let's dig into the implications the sources hint at, maybe subtly, by focusing on that defeat.
Right, because the defeat itself, it wasn't just losing a battle. It seems to represent the abrupt, very decisive end of major Tang military expansion into Central Asia, period.
Wow, that's a profound shift. You can almost see the historical narrative pivot there from Tang expansion to, maybe consolidation. And didn't internal strife follow not long after for the Tang?
It did indeed. The Ad Lushan rebellion wasn't too far off. And while you can't draw a direct causal line for everything, this defeat at Talas certainly forced a strategic rethink. It essentially fixed the western boundary of Chinese influence for, centuries to come.
They were stopped, just stuck cold out there.
That's the message, yes. They had reached their limit. And what stands out to me is how the sources focus on this defeat almost acts as a preamble to those later events. Yeah. Well, the Tang forces didn't just lose. They had to withdraw a long way back towards the Chinese heartland.
Yeah.
Losing experienced troops, maybe losing prestige, that kind of thing certainly doesn't help internal stability.
Okay, wait a second. If the sources are that brief, just Arabs defeat Tang China, does that imply anything about maybe the expectations? Were the Tang supposed to win? Or does it hint at, a surprising shift in military power between East and West back then?
That's a really sharp question. The sources suggest it was a major engagement, not a minor skirmish. And while the Tang had faced setbacks before, the finality of this defeat, the scale of the retreat it caused, it implies that the Caliphate brought something, maybe tactical or strategic, that the Tang commanders might have, underestimated.
Does it define the limit? This was the line.
This was where the world, in that region at least, kind of divided for a long time.
Okay. Clash of Giants. Silk Road hub, Talas, 751. Arab victory stops Tang expansion cold. That's the immediate military, the territorial result.
What about the longer term stuff? Cultural? Technological. Sometimes the sources hint at those things indirectly, right? That's where the real nuggets often are.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. And maybe where the true historical weight of that simple phrase, Arabs defeat Tang China, actually lies.
Okay, I'm listening.
While the sources we have might just state the military fact, subsequent history, when you connect the dots, shows a clear and frankly momentous shift.
Which is?
The widespread, systematic transfer of papermaking technology. From China, westward.
Wait, papermaking, you mean like actual paper from this battle?
The timing and the mechanism strongly suggest it. We're talking about the technology that completely revolutionized record-keeping, how governments worked, literacy, learning, everything across the entire world eventually.
That's incredible. How did that happen from a battle? Well, the historical accounts, pieced together later, suggest that among the prisoners of war taken by the Arabs at Talas,
Chinese soldiers, artisans maybe?
Exactly. Skilled artisans, including, it seems, people who know the secrets of papermaking.
A closely guarded secret in China for centuries.
Absolutely. And these captured individuals, they were transported westward, first to places like Samarkand, a major center in the Caliphate. And there, under Arab patronage, they established the first paper mills outside of China.
Wow. So the military defeat in 751, it unintentionally handed the Abbasid Caliphate this incredibly strategic intellectual tool.
Precisely.
Yeah.
A tool the Chinese had held onto for ages. So this single event, just recorded in our sources as a military loss for the Tang, becomes this enormous cultural and technological gain for the Arab world.
And then eventually for Europe and the rest of the world because the Arabs spread it further.
Consider the scale of that. For centuries, papermaking. China only. After 751, that know-how starts diffusing rapidly through the Abbasid lands. It eventually replaces papyrus, parchment, materials that were way less efficient, more expensive.
It must have been fundamental for the flourishing of scholarship and science in the Islamic Golden Age then.
Absolutely fundamental. Imagine trying to run a vast empire, conduct complex science, or translate Greek philosophy without cheap, readily available paper.
It really changes the meaning of that simple source statement, doesn't it? Arabs defeat Tang China. It's not just a military scoreline. It's like an accidental technological coup.
That's a great way to put it. A coup facilitated by military victory. The consequences, they ripple out for literally 1,000 years or more.
So the brevity of the source forces us to look deeper.
It does. It makes you realize the real cost of that defeat for the Tang wasn't just territory or soldiers. It was kind of informational. They lost control of vital strategic technology.
So this battle, Talas, it draws this line on the map in Central Asia, a geopolitical boundary. But at the same time, it accidentally creates this intellectual bridge, allowing this key innovation to jump from east to west.
Exactly. And there's another layer too. The Tang withdrawal from Central Asia after Talas, it created a power vacuum.
Ah, right. Nature abhors a vacuum.
And into that vacuum stepped other groups. Smaller Turkic kingdoms, local powers, they gained influence. It really shifted the whole ethnic and political dynamic of Central Asia profoundly. The Arabs secured regional dominance, yes, but the whole landscape changed.
And the Tang had to pivot, focus inward, deal with their own issues.
Completely. Their ambitions in Central Asia were effectively shelved.
Okay. So let's wrap this up. What does this all mean for our deep dive here? We started with these brief sources, and we've definitely extracted that core fact. Battle of Talas, 751. Arabs defeat Tang China. It secured Arab control over that part of the Silk Road. and it decisively ended Tang expansion westward. That's the baseline.
That's the baseline, yes. But I think the more profound insight, the one that really resonates from this concise source material, is how that military result sparked one of the most significant technological transfers in all of history.
The spread of papermaking.
The spread of papermaking, radically reshaping things way beyond the battlefield. Governance, scholarship, communication in the West.
Yeah.
That source, brief as it is, it's a testament not just to a clash of empires, but to how conflict can accidentally sow seeds of immense cultural change.
So we'll leave you with this final thought, really stemming from what we've uncovered from these sources.
Yeah.
If this brief mention, Arabs defeat Tang China 751, is historically linked to something as world-changing as paper spreading west,
Yeah.
what other huge, maybe civilization-defining consequences might be hidden behind other, similarly concise records of historical defeats? Defeats we often just glance over. Think about the unexpected power, the hidden stories, potentially locked inside a single recorded loss.